got? What do we got here? Grayzone. Okay, this is great. So Max Blumenthal. Let me sum this up really. Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate from the Grayzone. Max Blumenthal, just one of my favorite reporters out there. You know, people like him, Glenn Greenwald, Aaron, Matt Taibbi. They're doing real journalism. Lee Fong, even Michael Tracy does some great stuff. But I love Max just for his. First of all, he's hilarious. But second of all, I love his roughneck attitude. There's this video of him, which I'll try to dig up and play and splice in here, but there's this video of him being confronted by some congressional people, and it's so funny. He just completely flips it on the guy because he's like, you work for Congress. The United States government is the biggest terrorist organization in the world. You know, you have no moral high ground, you punk. It's great. And I just love Max for that. He takes no shit, and he's a great reporter. So check this out. Basically, there is what is kind of the modern version of Blackwater. I don't if you followed the Iraq War or any of that stuff back in the day, you know that Blackwater was a mercenary firm that was hired by the U.S. government to work in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And they committed a lot of atrocities and did a lot of disgusting things. And people like Max exposed it. And he's doing the same here. So long story short, the Mozart Group was working in Ukraine. And the guy who runs it, I think his name's Andy Milburn. They'll talk about it here. But he basically got drunk on this whiskey podcast and started kind of like spouting things that he probably shouldn't have. So let's watch.
I feel like I have to correct the record on some allegations that were made about me.
Okay, before we start this too, Max was smeared as a Russian, of course, for reporting this. So, Max caught this guy. They tried to say it was a deep fake. So watch this. This is great.
About me by probably the most, I would say, internationally known or important NATO mercenary who's been in Ukraine, training Ukrainian forces and fighting on the front lines. That's Colonel Andy Milburn. He was interviewed, I guess, 2 days ago by Going Underground, our friend Afshin Ratanzi's show. And he accused me of essentially fabricating the following footage, which we refer to here at Grayzone as Whiskey Let's take a look at that footage. For those of you who didn't see it, this is Colonel Andy Milburn of the Mozart Group. The Mozart Group is sort of named as a response to the Wagner Group, the Russian private mercenary firm that's been extremely active, especially around the Bakhmut area in Ukraine. And so Colonel Andy Milburn, a former U.S. Marine, went into Ukraine with lots of money and his forces to try to counter the Wagner Group and got a lot of positive publicity. But I was watching him on this kind of military groupie podcast where they drink whiskey the whole time. They drink like craft whiskey. I don't even know if it's craft whiskey, but
Max is the greatest.
He got loaded. He got completely sauced, and then he let his mask slip. And so I put together some highlights or lowlights in this 2-minute and 20-second video. It went completely viral, has almost 1 million views right now, and did some damage to his reputation.
Society, so I'm not, it's a corrupt, fucked up society.
Talking about Ukraine.
So I'm not a big fan of Ukraine.
You can hear him. His voice is slurred.
Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
Buffalo Trace is not that great.
And the Ukrainians are in violation of the Hague Convention. There is I forget the exact phraseology.
Okay, that right there is major news. This guy works in the Ukraine. He's an active. He used to be a U.S. military. He just said the Ukrainians are in violation of the Hague Convention. Listen to this. This is insane. Why is the press is ignoring this completely, obviously, for obvious reasons. But listen to this.
phraseology, but it is, we looked at this closely, and it's they should be no filming of the phrase, the terminology is bringing attention, blah 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 blah, to media, and yes, the Ukrainians are violating that, by absolutely. They're filming of a number of things that they're doing with POWs is violating law of armed conflict, and he can't, guys.
And and as the USA, what moral high ground do we have after Abu Ghraib and our CIA torture prisons and all the stuff that we've done, Guantanamo Bay? What leg do we have to stand? This is us too. This is a proxy war. The Ukraine is essentially us. We're funding this. This war wouldn't be happening without U.S. backing. So let's keep going here.
Guys,
Right.
killing Russian prisoners is
Right. And it's interesting because in the past,
listen to how drunk this guy is too. You could tell he's drunk.
Past in you like Latin America or whatever, if U.S. Forces or employees were involved with any force that committed, war atrocities or whatever,
back, right?
You have to, you're done.
Yeah.
But we're obviously not going to pull our support from Ukraine at this point.
I mean,
these violations.
It's atrocities. No, I mean, it still is. I mean, you shouldn't kill dudes who, everyone knows who surrendered. I mean, and there was plenty of that. But my point is, it's not about
there was
Ukraine.
Plenty of that.
We're not like, I happen to have, you.
And you could hear in this guy's voice that he's traumatized by it. That's why he has to get it out. That's why it's coming out when he's drunk, because he's bothered by it,
Ukraine flag tied to my bag, but I'm not, oh my God, Ukraine's so awesome. No, because I understand that there are plenty fucked up people running Ukraine. It's not about that. It's about global norms, right?
Right.
It's about Putin. It's like allowing dudes in the 21st century like Putin to do what they want to do.
It's a just fight.
Yeah, it is.
I love when mercenaries talk about I love when mercenaries talk about global norms. It's like, let me listen to Joe Camel talk about respiratory health or something. He essentially forgot the camera was on, Colonel Andy Milburn, and said, first of all, Ukraine is a sick society. He's not, even though in the media he's been presented in the New York Times as having gotten over this midlife crisis of having participated in Iraq and Afghanistan and really lost his mojo and become disillusioned in Ukraine. He started to find a country and a people and a military force that he truly believed in. And then he discounts that and says it's not really about Ukraine because their leadership is sick. And then he openly divulges that the troops that presumably are fighting under his watch have been committing atrocities. And he says, guys, you can't just shoot POWs. And we've seen video after video of Russian POWs being shot in the knees, being executed on camera. So, including by the Georgian Legion, which has fought alongside, which includes many U.S. mercenaries. So that was damaging for Andy Milburn. It's also just kind of hilarious. And so Andy Milburn, through his Mozart Group, responded to me, and it wasn't a very accurate response. So
listen to this. This is why this is the reason behind the Trump-Russia stuff and why everyone is being smeared as a Russian asset.
They responded in Ukrainian because obviously he needs to reassure his Ukrainian quote-unquote partners that he doesn't hate them or think they're sick. And they put together this weird graphic too of me. Here's me and Margarita Simonian, the head of RT, and, Vladimir Putin's behind us. He's like the dark Sith Lord animating the whole.
These war pigs always have to equate you with the enemy when you call them out. This is how it's always worked. It's how it worked in the Vietnam era. It's how it worked. It's disgusting. Let's keep going.
animating the whole thing. I'm much younger there. I don't mind that they use an old photo of me when my face was more taut. But here's the translation. A month ago, American journalist Max Blumenthal published a deep fake video of an interview he had with Andy Milburn, CEO of the Mozart Group. So like every word of that, including the periods and the dashes, are lies. Those aren't words. Those are, I guess, but you know what I'm saying. Everything is a lie. It's not a deep fake. A deep fake is when you use AI technology to impute words to some person that they never said, to essentially animate a public figure and make them say things they didn't say. I don't have the technical capacity to do that, but I never would have done it anyway. But there was no deep fake there. There was deep drinking. There was deep Buffalo Trace. There was deep Lafroyac.
Maybe they meant to spell deep trace, not
deep trace.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah. And then they said an interview he claimed he had with Andy Milburn. I never claimed I had an interview with Andy Milburn. He was talking to these military groupie guys. I guess they were veterans too. I think everyone could see that.
So anyway, he goes on to show how, they said his wife was Russian, Anya Parenthal, who's Indian, and, just basically tried to smear him as a Putin puppet because he exposed. And what's funny is he didn't even expose this guy. This is how terrible the press is in the United States. The guy went live on a podcast and got drunk and said all this stuff. All Max did was follow him, and keep an eye on him and watch what he said and report on it, and that's apparently working for Putin in 2023. It's pretty sad if that's the reality of what you have to do. But I saw that clip this morning and I wanted to talk about it. So don't believe anyone that says when they call some. I think the point of all that is when someone is called a Russian asset or a Putin lackey, you know that they're saying something that's probably true.